Welcome to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and Randy, who reveal the truth, the lies, and confusion about health so that you are no longer the victim to mainstream medical dogma and you are the hero to your own happy, healthy story.
Hello there, and thanks for listening to the Happy Healthy Life Podcast with your host, Rob and Randy, the
Happy Healthy Guys. What is up, guys? How are you?
All right, let's get right into it. Let's talk about
right in.
this thing. You know, many people often ask us, or they don't even ask us, they just come up to us with a statement. They're like, all right, you guys are metabolism experts. Here's one thing that I know is that I've gotten older. It's gotten harder for me to be able to lose weight. My metabolism for sure has slowed down as I got older, or I'm getting older. Does that have anything to do with what it is that I weigh? And we were looking at this study right here. January 1st, 2023, new human metabolism research upends conventional wisdom about how we burn calories. And the article goes on to talk about how it is that we burn calories as a kid, how we burn calories as an adult, how we burn calories as an elderly person. The biggest study, one of the biggest studies that's ever been done, following thousands and thousands of people to let us know what happens to our metabolism as we get older. And so really, what was the conclusion of that article, Randy? And I guess I'm going to ask it a couple questions. Number one is, does our metabolism slow down as we get older? Okay. What was the conclusion of that article? And then what is it that we know to be the truth when it comes to metabolism? So let's start with that first one. What happens to our metabolism as we get older?
No, the simple answer is no, right? We'll dive deeper. But yeah, the thought that, hey, and listen, I used to think this. Probably a lot of you either maybe still think this or used to think it. I know, Dr. Rob, you definitely thought this. Your mom taught you this.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, you think as you're just getting older that you're going to just become, it's not even that you're just going to gain weight or that your metabolism is going to slow down. It's that all of a sudden you're going to start getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and that things like heart disease and stroke and diabetes and Alzheimer's and arthritis are all just normal phenomenons of getting older, which could not be further from the truth. And what's insane about this, and we'll dive into this article, is our own medical professionals. What do they usually blame our health problems on? Well, you're just getting older. Well, that's really convenient, doc. And that sounds really lazy to me because there's nothing I can do about my age and there are no time machines. So with that being said, this article was, I actually got this article back in December 2022 before it was published in the magazine Scientific American. Our good friend, Dr. Patrick Porter, has sent this over to us because it's all about metabolism. And like you were saying, it's really the longest study that's ever been done, the most scientifically valid study I've ever seen. It's really remarkable because what they did, they were able to track people as young as 6 months old up until you're 90 years old on metabolic rate. So here is what they found, if you're not familiar with this study by Herman Pontzer. What they showed was when you're born, you've got all this metabolism from your mom, you've got all these mitochondria, you get all those mitochondria, which are the powerhouse centers of your cells, you get those from your mother. And then from the time you're born until about 1 year of life, your metabolism is steadily increasing. It is, as you can imagine, you have a rock star metabolism because your body's forming all these new organ systems, neurological synapses, it's growing, you're eating all the time, you're sleeping all the time, you are a serious rock star metabolic individual. What happens though, at about 1 year of age, all the way up to about the age of 20, what they showed is your metabolism starts to slow down. Interesting, right? Because who's ever said, I'd love to have the metabolism I had when I was 17? We've all said that. Your actual metabolism at 1 year age up until age 20, it's slowly going down. And then around age 20, to the time that you're around 60, what they showed was your metabolic rate, your metabolic profile, how you use food or calories for energy, it doesn't change. It does not change. So this middle age metabolic crisis is not a real thing. It's a common thing. It's not a normal thing. And then after 60, they said for some people, what you'll see is a 7% decrease every decade. Okay, so in your 70s, 80s, and 90s, there could be a drop off. But what they showed, that was mostly because people over 60 are losing their muscle mass, which is why in the study they also showed that there's no difference metabolically between men and women. When all things are created equal and you got the same size, same amount of muscle, same amount of fat, you burn the same amount of calories, you don't hit menopause and all of a sudden become metabolically sick, that your metabolic rate really doesn't change for the majority of your life. So if it's not your age, and this study clearly said that's not a good correlation, then really, what is it? We'll obviously dive into that. Some of you know what that is. But blew my mind because even I was like, wow, that makes sense. But we've been taught to believe something that just isn't true. And how many times have we said that in the last several years?
We have been taught something, to believe in something that just isn't true. And here's where it gets really confusing, or in my case, really frustrating. It's frustrating when we've been taught that it gets worse as you get older, but it's also even more frustrating when you're taught that not only does it get worse as you get older, but it's also tied to then your genetics, right? Because guess what? The two things that we cannot do is we can't go into a time machine. It doesn't exist, right? And there's not anything that we can do about our parents. So that's our genetics. So when it comes to both of those things, then the only thing that you can do in a medical model is look at, okay, either starving yourself to death or giving that person medication. And that's where it gets really frustrating. And so we start to wonder as we get older, okay, then why is it shifting? Why is it changing? Why is it slowing down? Because also in that article that I thought was really interesting is how you, like you said, early on, is how we're using the energy from our metabolism in order to be able to create new synapses, to be able to create these new organ systems in the body, and we're growing like crazy, so we're gonna need it. But what's interesting is that how we're still utilizing that same amount of energy, but we're using it for different processes. So as we get older, like in our 20s, for example, and it's even right now, is that our body is utilizing that energy for healing, for repairing, for transforming whatever comes in reproduction, for transforming whatever comes into our body into using it for a different form. So it's just like that, we always hear, energy is never created or destroyed, it just changes form. So that's exactly what it is that's happening inside of our bodies. And then, like you said, as we get older, when you start decreasing your muscle mass, but here's the thing, like we even teach this in Happy Healthy for Life in that program, is that you know what? Let's go ahead and continue to keep our muscle mass. That's why even with our programs, we're like, that's something that we always look at. We want to make sure that you're not reducing muscle mass, because that is a determining factor as to how efficiently your body is burning calories when you do have a healthy metabolism. So we want to hang on to that. So one of the strategies that we use in our anti-aging program, Happy Healthy for Life, is making sure that we are continuing to be able to continue to keep on building this lean muscle mass in our body, because that right there is directly related to how quickly we age or how slowly we age. And we always talk about is, if I'm 52 years old right now, I want my metabolic age to be 13 and to be as young as it possibly can be. But that's why we measure those things. So what I did think was interesting, and let's get into it. Okay, so let's talk about that reason why. Okay, as we get older, the first point here is this: just understand the reason that you feel like it's either slowing down or you get stuck after you get older is because of something called metabolic adaptation. How well is your body adapting to its environment as you get older? Right? Is your body breaking down faster than it's repairing? And if it's breaking down faster than it's repairing, then you're going to have some damage with the cells. We always talk about, if you're going to correct your metabolism or your metabolic profile, you better look at the cellular level. So is there damaging happening into the cell, not allowing them to heal, not allowing them to absorb the nutrients that are coming in? And when that happens, your body can't metabolically adapt. And when it can't metabolically adapt, you're not going to burn calories as efficiently. Not only are you going to not burn calories as efficiently, you're not going to be able to utilize those nutrients for all of the wonderful things that are supposed to be happening inside the body.
No, you're right. And that's why a calorie is not a calorie is not a calorie is not a calorie. They didn't take that into consideration in this article, although it was well done. It was looking at energy expenditure metabolically, but we know that, all calories are not created equal. And this is why we talk so much about what to put into your body to affect it. So it's not only what's going into your body, it's affecting what's coming out of your body. and how you are adapting. Remember, all health is happening at a cellular level, which is why metabolism is a key process. Thousands of metabolic reactions are happening every single second, and they're all vital to your health. This is why creating that environment where great things are more likely to happen, that includes having strong metabolic function. But it goes back to having to almost unbrainwash ourselves and relearn everything. Because what the medical industry depends on, and when I say the medical industry, it's really the medical industrial complex, which is including the pharmaceutical industry. This is what they're really hanging their hat on, is that we'll all believe there's nothing that we can do. How important is it to the pharmaceutical industry that its customers are victims, right? Because if you believe there's nothing you can do, you can't do anything about your age, you can't do anything about your genetic heritage and pick different parents. So you're now a victim that is permanent. And the only thing you can do, I guess, is go to your doctor and take drugs or have surgeries. So this is what they're really pinning this whole Ozempic GLP-1 thing on too, is they're getting ready to make hundreds of billions of dollars over the next 5 to 10 years, is they need people to keep continuing to believe that you just got a bad poker hand, right? It's bad genetics, you're getting older, it's really nothing you can do. You can't really do anything about your metabolism. It sucks you got a bad one. Maybe next time you'll get a good one, but we're here to save your life. We're here to the rescue, take our drugs. It just couldn't be further from the truth. So don't ever forget, when we talk about metabolism, it does get associated with weight loss. What we're really talking about is, like what you said, having the ability to adapt chemically, physically, and emotionally to your environment. That is the name of the game. And this is what the Happy Healthy Life is all about. So we're going to sound like broken records probably the next 30 years, as you're all going to continue to be a part of this group. We're going to keep saying the same thing over and over and over, because we got to unbrainwash ourselves. And for those of you who are listening who aren't a part of the Happy Healthy team, or haven't gone through our metabolic program, or still maybe one toe in the medical system, one toe into the holistic model, you'll hear from us very often that God does not need help healing you. He needs no interference. And we're going to keep banging that drum as long as we have a voice and a pulse and a neurological impulse in our body.
Yep. So you always want to have to make sure that you have outstanding metabolic adaptation, or what we also talk about as metabolic flexibility, right? Mm-hmm. And so we want to make sure that your body has the ability, when it needs to be able to move from either burning fat for fuel or burning sugar or carbohydrates for fuel. And when your body can be able to go back and forth like that, you have really good metabolic adaptation or adaptability, hard word for me to say, or metabolic flexibility, which is exactly what it is you want. We're going to go over some things and some practical strategies that you can use in order to be able to make sure that that is absolutely the case. So the next point we want to talk about is then, okay, what is the reality then of this plateau? So when people, for example, are trying to lose weight, and it's happened to anybody that's ever gone on some kind of a diet program, anybody that's ever tried to lose some weight, they'll lose some weight and then they'll get stuck, or it will stop, even though they know that there's more weight that they need to lose, right? Is anybody here with me on this? Say yes if you're with me on this. So you plateau, and then when you stop then even being perfect, your weight then goes right back up to where it was before. And for most people, it goes up even higher than that. So what would you say these plateaus are all about? Why does this happen? And why does it happen as people get older?
Yeah. We talk about this a lot. If this is the first time you're hearing this, we focus on creating a brand new, we call it a metabolic thermostat. It's a weight set point that we all have. And once you understand this concept about metabolism, now you look at everything as a zero-sum game. And I'll give you an example. It's like your body really regulates your energy expenditure. And that's really connected through your hypothalamus part of your brain, which regulates your weight set point. So if you were going to go on this massive diet, right, and you were going to starve yourself, which is what all diets do, you're going to go on this exercise program, burning thousands of calories, you're starving yourself. Guess what your metabolism and your hypothalamus is going to tell your body? Slow down metabolic rate, because obviously your body's always trying to keep you alive. It's never trying to kill you.
Ever.
It's always trying to heal you. That's the great thing about the doctor inside of all of us, is that doctor really does believe in the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm, which we can't speak for our current medical model, but this doctor inside of us, it knows what to do. It's the smartest doctor in the universe. And so it's going to regulate your energy expenditure. And if your weight set point is wherever it is, also, if you start eating a ton of food and you don't exercise, your body over a period of time, it's also not going to let you really move from that weight, because between all the dieting and all the fasting and all the exercise and all the binge eating and all the vacations, when all the dust settles, it just settles right back kind of where you were. And then over time, as you keep breaking laws of health, that thermostat keeps getting readjusted a little bit higher and a little bit higher and a little bit higher. And this is where you know you're stuck and you're metabolically no longer adapting, when it just doesn't matter what you do. That zero-sum game has you stuck. It has got you by the claws, and it's not going to let you lose any weight. Who's ever felt that? Who's ever been there? It is frustrating, and the medical community cannot explain it to you. They're going to go right back to the lies of the age and the genetics and all this other nonsense that creates victims and creates lifetime drug users. So once you understand this, it's great, because when you're talking about metabolic flexibility, remember there's two sources of fuel for your body. There is fat and there is sugar, and that's it. What about protein? Well, your body has to break down protein called gluconeogenesis to make glucose to go into your Krebs cycle. So you're only really fueling your body with carbs, sugar, or fat. This is the way the body works. So it's very important to understand this. A healthy metabolic thermostat means your body now is fat adapted, it's insulin sensitive, and it can use fat or it can use sugar for energy. Your heart and your muscle at rest use fat for energy. How cool is that? The body's very smart. That's adaptability. All right. When you exercise, now you move the body to using glucose. So it's a normal adaptive phenomenon. There's nothing sexy about it. Your body has two sources of fuel. It's very good at using those sources, but over years of breaking the laws of health. And what are the laws of health? Well, we know what the laws of health are. They're very simple, right? It's negative thoughts. It's trauma, it's toxins, it's chemicals, it's processed food, it's seed oil. It's not moving your body. It's being deficient in key vitamins and minerals. It's staying inside and slathering on sunscreen every day and being vitamin D deficient. It's overusing the medical system and never expressing symptoms of healing. And every problem you have, you take a drug for it. It's years and years and years of doing this that begins to break this down. So all that to be said, the key to sustained weight loss and healthy metabolic rate is having a strong metabolic thermostat, which is why Dr. Rob and I created the Happy, Healthy, Thin Metabolism program to stop the insanity. As a lot of you know, you can completely readjust that thermostat. So the question is, can that be changed? And the answer to that is what, Dr. Rob?
Absolutely.
Amen.
Absolutely. I'm living proof of that, right? At 52 years old compared to where I was at 38 years old when I had injured my back and ballooned up over 65 pounds. Now I'm maintaining a healthy weight. It's never been easier, but because here's the cool thing is because of creating that metabolic adaptation in my body. And this is something that I wasn't expecting, because we talked about this earlier. Even what it is that we had been fed, even what it is that we had learned, even what we read in that article right there, it comes from more of a medical dogmatic approach to where metabolism is still all about calories, all about how many calories that you're burning throughout the day. It doesn't take into account your cellular health. It doesn't take into account your the cellular specificity that your body has, the uniqueness that it has, the uniqueness that your body has, that my body has, that this person has, and what our body is going to be doing with the nutrients that are coming in. So it doesn't talk about those things because our body has specific nutrient requirements that's needed for the healing happening in our body, for our cells, for our 37 trillion cells or 70 trillion cells or 75. We were joking about this earlier. Depending on what scientific article that you read, it'll say that you have anywhere from 37 trillion cells to 70 trillion cells. We're just going to say you've got a lot.
You've got a lot.
You've got a lot. And everybody's body is different. So only say that to say that, yes, at 52 years old, now that, yes, is my body way more efficient at burning calories than it used to be? Absolutely. However, here's the best part. Is my body way more healthy than it used to be? Yes, Absolutely. And so metabolism isn't simply about calories in and calories out. It really is all to do with how healthy you are from the inside out, which is why, like you said, we created the program, because we can be able to establish a baseline for people to be able to get them back to that health. And then they can be able to continue to keep on getting even healthier and healthier and healthier from there. So let's go over then some strategies that people can use, regardless if you're in our program and you're not. And by the way, I have a shout out, speaking of our program, and I do not want to forget this. A shout out is to one of our listeners who also happens to be in program, and that's Valerie. So Valerie, this morning when I walked into the office, just so you know, that there was this envelope that was at the front desk, and Jordan, our assistant, she's like, "Hey, you got this envelope here. You might want to take a look at this." So I did, and when I opened it up, and I don't even think you saw this yet, Raina, because I
No,
just
I
got
didn't.
it. But it is this right here in basically just a memorial remembrance for my dad that passed
Wow.
away. It's got his name on there, and he was Catholic, so it was very fitting that you would actually have sent that over. So I just
Very
want to
kind.
give you a shout out and just say that we've got the most lovely human beings that are clients on the face of the planet. So thank you so much, Valerie. That means the world to me. That's why we love our community so much.
Yeah.
Right? It's unbelievable. So
Great community and even great people. Even we were talking about the calories in, calories out. Another shout out too to one of our good friends. He just released his latest podcast this last weekend. We're in Miami.
oh yeah,
Ben Azadi, his podcast is called Keto Camp. Solid dude, heart for wanting to help people. And we broke this thing down super deep, probably for about an hour or more.
an hour and 15 minutes.
Was it an hour and 15
An hour and 15
minutes
minutes
about the whole calories in, calories out thing? So if you haven't seen that, it was released, I believe, this last weekend. Keto Camp Ben Azadi. Y'all support him. He's a great dude. He's a part of our tribe. And he's a part of what we're all trying to do is to wake people up and really give them real solutions that aren't drug-based and symptom-based, and teach people what the heck really health is all about. So I wanted to give a shout out to Ben. He's a great, great guy.
Yeah, we're gonna go back. We're gonna go hang out with him again. I know he was wanting us to jump in his cold plunge there in his backyard. We didn't have time that day, but we're gonna get back over there.
There's things you can do besides getting cold, so I may have to rethink that one, but I may get in once.
I liked his strategy though that he went through with us. So that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
All right. So overcoming these plateaus. So one of the things that you can do, and it goes right in line with what it is that we're saying right now, is to really just detox your body. And so detox those cells. We're around over 80,000 chemical toxins on a daily basis. Whether we're conscious of it or we're not conscious of it, it's really hard to stay away from that. And so just really doing things that are detoxing. And one of the things that we always talk about detoxing is getting rid of what out of our diet?
Well, let's get rid of the toxic chemical foods, and specifically even seed oil. We talk about this omega-6 fatty acid that's pervasive. It's literally in everything. Dr. Rob, you and I we played top golf the other day, had a quick meeting and hit a few golf balls, and I was like, man, what do y'all cook this food in the back? And it was all canola oil. I mean, you just know it. Now it's like I already know there's seed oil in the kitchen. I just want to know which one's most popular at this point. So obviously I didn't want any canola oil, which obviously stands for Canadian oil, low erucic acid. Erucic acid is a heart toxin found in the rapeseed plant that they genetically modify to make it palatable. So it's a GMO rapeseed plant that they use to make the canola oil. So anyway, just little background on that. But the point is, seed oil isn't just something that you can eat and move on from. It does accumulate in your body, which is one of the reasons we built our Happy, Healthy, Thin program during that 5-week retrain, is to give your body the chance to start dumping PUFA, getting rid of PUFA, and doing it in a safe way. Because if you start dumping PUFA too much into the bloodstream, it can break down your kidneys. It can cause issues. It can make you sick. That's why we say don't exercise on an empty stomach or go into any type of breakdown with resistance training during the program, because we don't want you dumping too much PUFA into your bloodstream. Now, outside of program, exercising on an empty stomach is a great way to detox from PUFA, because you get a thermogenic heat burning effect at the cell. It's basically you're uncoupling your mitochondria, creating heat, and you can actually detox your body from some PUFA out of the cell, because you're missing that first pass through the liver because you're creating heat at a cell. So Fasted, high intensity training workouts are great to do when you're not in the retrain phase to detox from PUFA. So that's something, if you don't know, definitely do fasted workouts and do high intensity workouts that can make a big, big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things we always talk about is even walking after meals.
Yeah.
Is a great way to be able to do that as well. So, all right, so there's a couple things right there as far as detoxing goes.
Also, too, we're just bombarded too with so many heavy metals. Guys, this is why our trace minerals are so important. Remember, minerals and metals compete for the same receptor sites in the body. And so when you flood your body full of those trace minerals, you're going to be able to help move out some of those metals. And that's why there's a detoxifying clay to help bind and move those out as well. Our balance formula that we created, which is rich in humic and fulvic pure sources, help move glyphosate out of your system. So there's a lot of things you can do that make a huge difference. Obviously, eating saturated fat, animal fats, are vital because the lipid membranes of your cells need saturated fat. It really helps take the burden of cholesterol off your body. So eat tons of saturated fat. If you're eating a bunch of seed oil, all right, you're gonna have to make more cholesterol to go rescue those fatty membranes. And of course, on your blood work, it looks like your LDL went down. It's because all the LDL is rushing to your cells to save you from dying. Versus eating saturated fat, you don't need as much cholesterol. So there's more cholesterol in the blood. That's why saturated fat causes LDL to go up. There's so many things and nuances with that conversation. The point is eating real food, eating saturated fats, animal-based foods. Don't worry about those things. Keep your body moving. Fasted workouts. These are all things you could do on a daily basis, and they don't take a lot of work. It's just being intentional.
It is being intentional. So speaking of being intentional, it's last but not least, this really, it all goes back to what your intention, what your belief is. So, detoxing, and you mentioned it earlier, we want to make sure that our body is adapting chemically, physically, and spiritually. And one of the best things that we can be able to do is, we talked about this on the podcast with Ben Azadi, is make sure that you have a daily practice of getting your vitamin G, and vitamin G stands for your gratitude vitamin, and making sure that you're starting your days off, even, making sure that you're in gratitude. One of the things that we help people do as far as detoxing from negative thoughts, because your thoughts will be your worst freaking enemy, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so one of the things that you can do to detox your thoughts to be able to help with metabolism is even just getting onto the BrainTap app. We talk about Dr. Patrick Porter, who we mentioned earlier, in his app called BrainTap. It really is a guided meditation that takes you through a lot of different technologies that can be able to get your brain rewired. And so that's something that you can do multiple times a day, every day. You don't even need the apparatus to be able to be in the app, but we've got a happy, healthy module inside that app where we're taking you through affirmations, guided meditation that are specific to increasing and healing your metabolism. So that's a great, easy thing that you can do. It doesn't cost very much on that app. And so we'll put that in the resources as well. That way you can be able to get that downloaded. And so just start your day with positive intentions and being in gratitude. And that right there will also help you with your metabolism, because we have to remember that everything is connected. You can't disconnect your heart from your lungs. You can't disconnect your cells, any of your cells from any of the other cells. Are all connected. We're all connected. And that right there is something that can be able to help detox you from that stinking thinking that you may have actually accumulated throughout the years, causing your metabolic adaptation to not adapt.
Yeah, take accountability for your thoughts, the words you speak over yourself. The research is there. You can think yourself healthy. You can think yourself sick. Words do matter, and there's no difference between stresses, physical, chemical, and emotional stress. The body just sees it as stress. Are you adapting or are you not? I remember even Dr. Helu, my doctor, that our good friend that I went to in Spain when I was overcoming my illness, he said that there's no difference between 10 minutes of that anxiety, uncontrolled stress, when you can't even regulate your heart, and you know what I'm talking about if you ever felt that just pit in your stomach. He said there's no difference between that and drinking a liter of whiskey, the effects on your liver. Okay, guys, my liver was completely locked up and congested, swollen out of my body. And it wasn't because I was drinking alcohol. Didn't even drink back then, 0 alcohol. My father died. The emotional stress of my father dying and me not dealing with that was overwhelming my body's ability to adapt, and my liver completely shut down and was full of cancer. So remember, even sepsis, they're showing like systemic infection and sepsis. That is not some bacterial infection. Give me a break. Those are thought, emotion, traumas, and emotional things you're not adapting to. So all that to be said, you're 100% right, Dr. Robin. You're one of the best at that with vitamin G and encouragement. When you start the day that way, you just want to take better care of your body anyway. When you are in gratitude and you do love yourself and you love the fact that you've got another day to wake up and live, that's a great reason to take better care of yourself and put good food in your body.
Yeah, one of the listener questions is, can we do breath work? Yeah, absolutely. You can do breath work. A lot of different places to be able to do that. But with just the couple minutes that we have left, I know one of the things that people always ask us is, well, when do I know if I need to seek professional help, right? Mm-hmm. When is Google no longer my best counselor in Googling how to be able to turn my metabolism on? Well, we made it really simple for people to figure out and find out if that's a place that they need to go, whether it's us or anybody else. But all you got to do is go to metabolismscore.com, and we created a quiz there to be able to help you see where your metabolism is at, if you need help. And then if you do need help with that, with whatever it is that it shows up on that quiz, we can show you the different resources and the places that you can go in order to be able to get the help you need to get your metabolism healing. So go to metabolismscore.com. And if you're somebody that even has symptoms, whether they're things like brain fog, just fatigue, you're exhausted after a long day of work, you feel like maybe you're that person that feels like in order for me just to get through my day, I have to constantly be drinking multiple cups of coffee
or diet soda.
Get the caffeine rush. And those are some of the telltale signs. Maybe you're losing your hair, or maybe you've got decreased sex drive. What do you always say? If you're not horny, you're what?
You're not healthy.
You're not healthy. So those are all signs. Those are all signs right there. But the easiest thing to do is just go to metabolismscore.com.
Yeah.
And then we'll just direct you on where it is that you can go.
Hey, also too, as we're wrapping this, we're starting. We're going to release a second podcast now every week.
Oh, we already did.
So now it's 2 a week. Our second episode is called Real Talk. And so we may dive deeper on some other topics, issues. If you have anything you want us to talk about, throw it our way, because it's going to be a no holds barred. There may be a PG-13 rating on this podcast. We'll try to keep it as clean and as simple as we can. But at the same time, we're going to talk about some topics and dive deep. So anything you want us to talk about, lay it out there. That's going to be happening pretty much every Friday. We're going to hit that Real Talk episode. So 2 more episodes every week. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that and learn a lot and push us to be better and better. And we feel that, we feel such an obligation to be great at what we do, to honor you guys, to love you guys, and to produce the best content possible. And that is happening as we speak. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way this will look in the structure of it, so this podcast right here is downloaded or uploaded, whichever it is that you do, every single Friday. So you always get this every single Friday. Tuesday of the following week is where you'll get the Real Talk will be downloaded. So it's just a really quick 10-15 minutes to be able to help you with the beginning of your week. And you can be able to listen to this at the Happy Healthy Life podcast. It's going to be the same podcast that you can be able to get it. It's just going to be a different type of an episode, but you can listen to it at the same place to answer your question right there. That's where it is at. So
yep, same place.
With that being said, thank you so much for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast with your host, Rob and
Randy. We are the Happy Healthy Guys. We love you. We'll be back soon. Y'all be blessed.
Like it, share it, comment, 5-star review it, all the things. We love you and appreciate you.
Thanks for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. If you enjoy the show, make sure to follow them on Instagram at the H2 Life or on YouTube and Facebook at the Happy Healthy Guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts.